You are my driver starting today. Got it? You go around bragging about spending years abroad, but honestly, you were just floundering in a country where you couldn't even communicate properly. You'll never measure up to someone like me, who's built a solid track record at this company. So, Mr. Driver, hurry up and open the car door. Pretty slow for a driver, huh? With a sneer on his face, Adam looked down at me, letting out a cruel laugh. This guy is seriously insufferable. No, calm down. What awaited me upon my return to headquarters after 5 years was relentless condescension from Adam, a younger employee who proudly called himself the #1 salesperson here. I fought hard to stop my brow from furrowing in irritation. Sure, as he said, being freshly back from overseas, I was essentially a newcomer to this department. But despite his overbearing attitude, Adam's actual work left much to be desired. During a presentation at a major general trading company, Adam's convoluted proposal elicited audible sighs from the clients. We're sorry, but your proposal is hard to understand. Please leave," came the voice of Olivia, the president's daughter and a star in the sales department. Adam's face turned a deeper shade of red as he stammered, "Well, that's..." Unable to form a coherent response. The prideful Adam, utterly lost for words at a crucial moment, cast a heavy gloom over the meeting room. I found myself standing up. "Would you mind if I provided some additional clarification?" With clear, concise examples, I managed to explain things in a way that lit up Olivia's eyes. "Impressive. This proposal seems worth considering after all." Adam shot me a glare filled with resentment. In his eyes, for the first time, burned a mix of humiliation and fury. Little did anyone know that this humiliation of his would later ignite an unprecedented incident involving top-tier corporations in both Japan and the United States. My name is Luke. I'm 38 years old. After years abroad, I've returned to Japan and resumed my position at headquarters after a 5-year absence. I work at Vision Partners, a consultancy firm that collaborates with domestic companies to provide management advice and develop future strategies. A boy who once lived a carefree life in a rural town had his path profoundly altered upon enrolling in a national university. You could say it was a turning point for me. The reason is that consulting was a popular career choice among my peers and seniors in the same seminar and club activities. Initially, I wasn't interested in the jargon-filled world of consulting, nor did I understand much about the field. But one day, a senior who worked at a consulting firm came to a club gathering. His captivating stories about the job piqued my interest, and I mustered the courage to ask him, "Do you enjoy your work in consulting?" His face lit up with a broad smile as he replied, "Absolutely. Think about it, turning your ideas into reality is incredible, isn't it? Of course. There's a ton of responsibility and pressure to drive profit for the companies we work with, but that's what makes it so rewarding." I still vividly remember how he said that, savoring his beer with a satisfied smile. At the time, the thought of job hunting had already started to weigh on my mind. So I decided to research the consulting firm where my senior worked. I devoured related books and read countless articles featuring comments from alumni who worked in the industry. Gradually, I found myself drawn to the world of consulting. I've always enjoyed observing people and imagining their personalities. Thinking about what would delight someone has always been a strength of mine. In my club, I loved planning events that targeted specific audiences and coming up with ways to attract them. Consulting is much the same. Identifying the paths companies should take, overcoming challenges, and solving problems together were exactly the kind of work I aspired to do. After applying to numerous consulting firms and facing 30 rejections, I finally received good news the day after submitting my graduation thesis. 10 years have passed since then. I've worked with countless companies, supporting their management in various capacities. But my skills still feel far from sufficient. While I've been fortunate to receive words of gratitude from clients, I often reflect on whether I could have provided better services or support. I've witnessed many instances where the results fell short of expectations, leaving me frustrated with the limits of my skills and knowledge. Amid all this, I received a consultation request from a client about expanding their business overseas. The client was a manufacturing company with a solid track record of deals with major manufacturers and several affiliated factories across the country. Their goal for this overseas expansion was to establish a production facility and distribute their products more broadly, both domestically and internationally. I was taken aback. I had heard countless stories from senior colleagues about the challenges of supporting overseas expansions, many of which yielded unsatisfactory results. I wanted to avoid taking on a project that might ultimately lead to losses. Yet, part of me couldn't ignore the desire to support such a bold company-wide challenge. Sensing my hesitation, Daniel, my department manager, said something unexpected. "Hey, why don't you take the plunge and head overseas with me?" "Wait, you mean me too?" At the time, Vision Partners was beginning to expand its support to foreign-owned companies. However, there were few employees, even among the executives, who had experience handling international projects. And successful cases were even rarer. Daniel, after hearing my thoughts, seemed to believe this could be a breakthrough opportunity. "You can speak English reasonably well, right? And you've been diligently working on your MBA studies too." "Well, yes, but I'm not sure if I can meet expectations." "You'll be fine," he said, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "No matter the company or the country, just do what you've always done." Daniel. Though a reserved man, the fact that he had been paying attention to me made a spark of courage well up inside. "All right, I'll give it a try. I'll talk to the higher-ups about this. We'll also need to notify HR early for transition planning." And so, carrying the expectations of Vision Partners, I flew to the United States. In the end, the overseas expansion was a success, and plans for a new factory are now underway. This achievement led to numerous business inquiries from various companies in the United States, helping to establish strong connections with international firms. During my time there, I encountered numerous challenges, including navigating the unique business practices and cultural nuances specific to the United States. There were times when language barriers led to misunderstandings, and I spent all my energy trying to resolve them. Adjusting to a new environment while pushing through exhaustion was a frequent struggle. Still, the past 5 years proved to be immensely valuable. The reputation of our company among competitors had risen significantly, and my contributions were credited with greatly boosting the company's visibility. As a result, I was offered a position back at headquarters with a view to future promotion, prompting my long-awaited return to Japan. Upon my return, the area around Vision Partners headquarters had grown even more bustling with high-rise buildings. A stark reminder of how much had changed while I was away. I was quickly shown to my desk and began unpacking my things. I wondered about the team I'd be working with now. As I glanced over some documents, my eyes wandered around the bustling office. Judging by their casual attire and light-hearted conversations, most of the employees were clearly younger than me. Seeing how sharp and efficient they seemed, whether in the way they spoke or tackled tasks, I couldn't help but quietly admire the caliber of the younger generation these days. Among them, however, one man stood out, a tall figure, towering a full head above the others, sneaking glances in my direction. His features were striking, rivaling any celebrity, and his attire exuded the unmistakable aura of luxury brands. That guy could easily be a celebrity, I thought. But something about the way he looked at me felt vaguely hostile. Was it just my imagination? Before I could dwell on it, Daniel called out to me. It was time for the morning meeting. The team began the usual routine, reading the company mission statement and checking each member's progress. When it was my turn to introduce myself, I stepped forward, feeling the weight of everyone's curious stares. "Hi, nice to meet you all, I'm Luke." I was sent to the United States through our internal dispatch program for about 5 years. But I'll be working with this department again starting today. Looking forward to working with you, I said with a bow, receiving a smattering of rather subdued applause. The introductions continued, each following a similar pattern, until it was the tall man's turn. My name is Adam. Since joining the company, I've consistently been the top performer, he said with a confident smirk, sending a pointed gaze in my direction. I've heard quite a lot about you. They say you were the top salesperson before heading overseas. But of course, I have no intention of giving up my spot to you. I was speechless. I was at a loss for how to respond, and sensing my hesitation, Adam doubled down. Well, the social and economic landscape has changed a lot in these past 5 years. You might feel a bit lost, but don't worry. I'll teach you the ropes one step at a time. He punctuated his remark with a smug expression. Daniel, perhaps trying to diffuse the tension, interjected, perfect timing. Luke, why don't you head out with Adam today to visit some key clients? You can sort out the handover details when you get back. Yes, understood. What should I do, Adam? You should call me Mr. Smith. Sure, you might have more years of experience and seniority in age, but you've been gone for 5 years. Here. You're practically at the bottom of the ladder. I'm sorry. Just do as you're told, and everything will be fine. Though I felt a flash of irritation at his dismissive attitude, I decided not to stir the pot and followed his lead for now. When we head out together from now on, you'll be the driver, all right? With those words, Adam carelessly tossed the car keys at me. Well, it's been a while since I last drove, so I'm not very confident about the area's layout. Listen, I'm the kind of person expected to become the youngest department manager here. How does it look if someone like me is the one driving? I don't know what you were doing overseas, but soon enough, you'll be reporting to me. I brushed off Adam's bragging with little more than a nod, recalling that in Japan, people drive on the left side of the road, and cautiously started the car after a long time behind the wheel. Not bad for someone who hasn't driven in a while. Well, I did drive overseas too. That doesn't mean you'll earn any extra points here, so don't get the wrong idea. So, how many stops are we making today? Let's see, depends on my mood. For now, there's one meeting scheduled, and I'll decide after that. He said this while smirking at something on his phone. A quick glance revealed he was browsing someone's social media. How laid back, I thought. Back when I visited clients, I meticulously prepared in advance. Adam, on the other hand, showed no such signs of preparation. With a growing sense of unease, we finally arrived at our first stop. The massive, stylish Anderson sign loomed above, and the towering glass building reflected sunlight, gleaming like a mirror. Anderson, a major conglomerate, started as a company focused on food distribution, ingredient processing, and catering services. Over time, it has expanded into diverse industries such as printing, finance, and logistics. Its network of affiliated group companies now spans across Japan, establishing a strong presence nationwide. As we stepped inside, a cheerful female employee greeted us with a warm smile. Hello, thank you for having us today. Good to see you again. Adam replied with an overly familiar grin. For a moment, I felt an inexplicable mix of emotions but managed to maintain a cheerful demeanor. My name is Luke from Vision Partners. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. Likewise. Please, this way, she said, leading us to a meeting room without losing her smile. Her name was Olivia, a member of Anderson's sales department and, as I had heard, the daughter of the company's president. Her sharp brows and deep, captivating eyes stood out, and her long hair, tied neatly at the back, swayed gently as she moved. Sunlight streamed through the windows, filling the meeting room with warmth. Adam busily opened his laptop, preparing for the presentation. Let's begin the agenda. I've prepared a scheme based on profit margins and forecasts by division within the Anderson Group. Adam started confidently, his opening remarks displaying a practiced air as the presentation topics lit up on the screen before us. Today's discussion focused on Anderson's apparel division, where Adam was set to propose a new strategy. The apparel business was a pet project of one of the executives, who insisted on creating trendy goods for younger audiences to generate buzz. Despite the oversaturated market of apparel brands, the division was launched. Unsurprisingly, its revenue remained modest, leading some to call for an early exit. However, others suggested giving it more time, as it was still in its infancy. Adam had vehemently rejected the calls to withdraw and spent 3 sleepless nights enlisting juniors to help him prepare his materials. Based on this evidence, their feedback suggests our KPIs still have significant upside potential, and we can maximize ROI. His explanation is just a flood of buzzwords, and the PowerPoint slides are advancing at breakneck speed, I thought to myself. A glance at Olivia revealed her polite smile, but her eyes betrayed her confusion. Suppressing my growing frustration, I continued to listen as Adam pressed on. My proposal focuses on rebranding the apparel lineup and exploring approaches to enter new markets. Specifically, this involves promoting DX, optimizing logistics through vertical integration, and expanding distribution channels via an omni-channel strategy. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Adam, but I'm having a hard time understanding your proposal. Could you elaborate? Adam asked, his brow furrowing in frustration as he wore an expression of bewilderment. Your proposal is difficult to follow. So, are you dissatisfied with my proposals? Well, the terms you're using are just too complex, and I can't fully grasp what you're saying. Maybe you're just not trying hard enough to understand. Adam retorted, leaning in toward her. Seeing this, I immediately stepped in. Olivia, if I may, I'd like to provide some clarification. Stepping forward, I rewound the slides and began explaining from the proposal's foundation. In the United States apparel market, one of the fastest growing segments is D2C brands. For example, a company based in New York called Everlane achieved a 147% year-over-year sales increase by offering transparent pricing and environmentally conscious products. Using the materials Adam had prepared, I rephrased and elaborated in a way that would be easier for Olivia to understand. According to consumer research in the United States, 73% of young people aged 18 to 34 tend to purchase products when they resonate with a brand story or corporate values. By modernizing Anderson's commitment to quality and tradition and presenting it effectively, you could capture the attention of the younger generation. This is merely an example from an international company, so further evaluation is needed to determine if it can be applied directly to Japanese market. However, for instance, in the case of Everlane, after entering Japanese market, they adjusted their product lineup to align with local lifestyles and achieved 120% of their first-year sales target. Using gestures to emphasize key points, I outlined the potential advantages and drawbacks of such an expansion. The risks include an initial investment of approximately $20 million over 5 years. However, based on the United States business examples, you could expect a profit margin exceeding 20% annually from the 3rd year onward. Additionally, Olivia's expression visibly changed, and she leaned in with growing interest. Meanwhile, Adam, arms crossed, glared at me with a sullen expression. I see. So there are concrete success stories. With a solid strategy, profitability seems achievable, Olivia said, her eyes now sparkling with enthusiasm. Impressive, Luke. I'd like to seriously consider the proposal you just presented. Wait. My proposal wasn't bad either, Adam blurted out in a panic. Olivia, choosing her words carefully, replied. The issue with your proposal is its lack of specificity. It feels like you're stringing together polished words without grounding them in reality. Adam's face grew visibly tense. While still rough and needing refinement, Luke's proposal is rooted in strong evidence, making it easier to build strategies around. It's impressive. Olivia, you're talking as if you know him well, but this is your first meeting, right? Adam interrupted Olivia mid-sentence, speaking in a disgruntled tone. In response, Olivia replied in a calm and composed manner, casually revealing an unexpected truth to Adam. Actually, we're dating. What? No way, you never told me that. Before he could say more, I stepped in. We're here for business today. There's no obligation to share personal matters. Adam stood frozen, mouth agape, before composing himself and giving a cold laugh. Ah, I see. So this was all a setup, huh? What a charade. Adam. Olivia's firm voice resonated in the room. As the client representative, I am evaluating proposals solely on their merits. This is purely a business matter. And personal relationships have no bearing here. What matters is the content of the proposal, not who presents it. With a firm tone and a poised demeanor, Olivia stood her ground decisively. Adam, visibly displeased, seemed to be struggling to hold back a frustrated click of his tongue. His eyes unmistakably reflected his distrust of the current situation, his expression openly betraying his discontent. I recalled the moment I first met Olivia in the United States. Well then, let's proceed with this matter. Thank you. She spoke fluent English as we successfully finalized a contract with a major food manufacturer. Afterward, we walked through the bustling streets of Manhattan. Surrounded by modern skyscrapers, I couldn't help but be captivated by the endless stream of shop signs and advertisements vying for attention. Amid the crowd, I saw a woman speaking urgently into her phone. Yes, I'm fully aware of the risks. But if we miss this opportunity. Yes, I'm very sorry. Her demeanor was distinctly Japanese. Dressed sharply in a navy suit, she carried herself with an air of authority. However, the moment she hung up the phone, she let out a deep sigh. The weary expression on her face as she gazed up at the towering skyscrapers betrayed her exhaustion. I couldn't stop myself from speaking up. Excuse me, are you all right? She turned a cool gaze toward me. I'm fine, thank you. It was just a work call. She replied curtly. Just then, a gust of wind scattered the documents on her desk into the air. Oh. I hurried to help her gather the scattered papers. Among them was a document titled New Business Plan. A quick glance revealed a rather aggressive expansion strategy. Pardon me, but if you'd like, I could offer some advice on this project. That won't be necessary, she said, clutching her documents tightly to her chest. I have my own plan. Aren't you rushing things a bit? The words escaped my mouth before I realized it, and her expression instantly hardened. What would you know about it? No offense, but as someone in consulting, I couldn't help but notice. I handed her my business card. She hesitated for a moment before reluctantly accepting it. Vision Partners? She read aloud, her expression subtly changing. Are you, by any chance, involved in the Asia market? Yes, I oversee that area. After a brief moment of deliberation, she spoke quietly. Would it be all right if we talked for a moment? We moved to a nearby cafe, and once seated, she finally opened up. My name is Olivia from Anderson. Actually, I'm the president's daughter. What? I instinctively straightened up in my seat. Anderson was a name everyone in the domestic food industry would recognize. It was a major player in the market. And now, the president's daughter was sitting right in front of me. In my haste to adjust my posture, my knee bumped the table, nearly toppling my coffee cup. Are you all right? She asked, leaning forward with concern. Yes, no problem at all. Seeing me flustered far more than necessary, she let out a small chuckle. Her laughter softened the atmosphere, and I found myself relaxing as well. Then, lowering her gaze, she began to speak quietly once again. The weight of everyone's expectations is overwhelming. Because I'm the president's daughter, people go out of their way to be overly considerate. Olivia shouldn't have to handle this kind of work, they say. My opinions are dismissed as nothing more than youthful idealism. Cradling her latte with both hands, she continued. I realized I can't let things stay this way. No one seriously believes I'll take over the company someday. That's why I need to do something only I can do. This overseas expansion project is the one I found, she said, lifting her gaze with a look of firm determination. Yet behind that resolve, I could see a hint of uncertainty lingering in her eyes. Honestly, I'm scared. But if I miss this opportunity, I'll always just be the sheltered daughter of the president. That's why. Even if I have to do it alone, I need to prove myself. Her last words trembled. But her resolve was unmistakable. What's important isn't rushing to produce results, I said gently. If anything, being the president's daughter means you have more reason not to force results prematurely. It could jeopardize the company. What matters is taking the time to truly understand what your partners and clients need. She gazed at me in silence, her eyes searching mine. Suddenly, tears began streaming down her face. I'm sorry. It's just that I feel like the weight on my shoulders suddenly lifted. Her voice breaking as she accepted the handkerchief I offered. Her shoulders shook slightly as she wiped her tears. I thought I had to keep pushing on alone. You don't have to overdo it. She wiped away her tears and gave a small nod. Outside the window, the sunset bathed the city in a warm, gentle glow. About this handkerchief. You can return it some other time. No, I'd like to give it back. And I'd also like to thank you properly. The next time we met was on a weekend in Central Park. Surrounded by the laughter of others, we strolled together at a leisurely pace. After that, meeting up became natural. At a cafe after work, on Broadway during the weekends, with each encounter, her expression softened bit by bit. Today, I had a really good discussion with one of our clients. She shared excitedly one day. I'm starting to understand what they truly need, just like you said, Luke. Before I knew it, our conversations extended beyond work. Memories, future dreams, and everything in between. It slowly, and without even realizing it, we became irreplaceable to each other. I feel like I've changed a lot, she said one evening as we gazed out over the Hudson River at sunset. I didn't need to overcompensate just because I'm the president's daughter. What really matters is caring for the company more than anyone else and building up what I can do, one step at a time. Isn't that right? She looked up at me. Her eyes illuminated by the sunset, now free of the uncertainty they once held. So, what do you think of me? What? Not as the president's daughter, just Olivia as a woman. No more words were needed to confirm how we felt about each other. Sometimes, meeting someone can lead to unexpected growth. In that moment, we both realized this truth. The thought of working with Olivia in Japan filled me with excitement. With that uplifting feeling, I returned to the office. Reporting on the Anderson deal to Daniel, I quickly dove into the work she had pointed out, eager to refine our proposal. That Friday morning, Daniel approached me with a smile. Good work on the Anderson proposal. I reviewed it myself. Sure, there are areas to improve, but it's solid. You've shown the experience you gained overseas. Thank you. Compliments are gratifying at any age. I also noticed subtle shifts in how my colleagues viewed me, respect, perhaps, or recognition. If you keep this up, a promotion might be in your future. What? That's supposed to be my promotion. Adam interjected loudly, clearly agitated. You told me the other day I was getting close to becoming a department manager. Oh, that? You took my joke seriously? Listen, your Anderson proposal was too vague. Without concrete evidence and clear numbers. clients are bound to feel uneasy. That's their job to interpret, isn't it? Our job is to make proposals anyone can understand. But I'm next in line for a promotion, right? Only if you deliver at least one result. What? Adam stood dumbfounded, his mouth slightly agape. Unbothered, Daniel continued. Luke here has worked on countless projects overseas, and the companies he supported are still thriving today. In fact, a foreign corporation even tried to headhunt him. He's on a different level from you. Adam was silent, unable to refute the claim. And Adam, are you even aware that your accounts frequently file complaints? Every time, Luke has stepped in to smooth things over. Without him, those issues would have escalated. That's not true. Adam muttered, biting his lip as he stared down at the floor. Daniel didn't hold back. The major accounts you're managing now? They're all contracts Luke secured himself. You've simply inherited them. Keep that in perspective. I can't believe this. It can't be true. Adam mumbled, his voice shaky as he tried to argue. But the icy stares from the others in the office told him everything he needed to know. Ignoring Adam's dismay, Daniel raised his voice to address the team. Everyone, listen up. Anderson is seriously considering a contract with us. Let's capitalize on this momentum and keep pushing forward together. Yes. The room buzzed with enthusiasm following Daniel's rallying call, but Adam abruptly cut through the atmosphere with a shocking announcement. I'm quitting this company. What? What are you talking about all of a sudden? I couldn't help but challenge him, but he just looked at me with a cold, detached gaze. You still have plenty of unfinished work. Leaving things half done. You'll handle it anyway, right? There's no point in staying at a company that doesn't appreciate all my hard work. I'm going to a place where I'll be valued for who I am. With that, Adam shot a quick glance around the room before storming out. What's his problem? I thought, staring bitterly at his now vacant desk. Hey, were you waiting long? No, I just got here too. Great, let's go. On a sunny weekend, the bustling city was filled with families and couples as usual. Dressed casually in a t-shirt and jeans, I arrived at our meeting spot to find Olivia standing there, her fashionable outfit catching my eye. Hey, why are you staring at me like that? She asked, pouting as she crossed her arms over her chest. Nothing, it's just you're so different from when you're at work. Of course I am. Dressing all formal even on my days off would be exhausting. She laughed, the earrings dangling by her ears making my heart skip a beat every time they swayed. Our plan for the day included a movie, a walk in a lush park, and dinner at a place we found along the way. As we sat at the terrace, sipping iced latte and occasionally watching the children playing nearby, I couldn't help but notice that Olivia seemed unusually subdued. Ha! She sighed softly, propping her chin on her hand. What's wrong? Ha! You seem a little off today. Well, yeah, I guess so. Work's been hectic lately. Did something happen? Actually. She hesitated, repeatedly starting and stopping before finally revealing something I hadn't expected. Adam has joined our company. What? Adam at Anderson? Of all places, why there? I couldn't hide my shock. My thoughts were in chaos as I processed this news. Yeah. Olivia continued with a weary expression. He graduated from a prestigious university, so he's obviously intelligent. That's probably where his overconfidence comes from. So that's why they hired him? Exactly. HR thought he was too good a candidate to pass up. During the interview, he mentioned knowing me and said we worked together at Vision Partners. Olivia gave a wry smile, shrugging her shoulders. As a result, he ended up working under me in sales. But his actual performance is... Her expression told me it was worse than she was letting on. He's all over the place, constantly missing the mark. He's pushy, forces people to agree with him, and is entirely self-centered. His reputation isn't great, even within the company. And then there's. Seeing her downcast face, I couldn't shake the feeling that something unpleasant had happened. Is he saying things to you? Kind of. He's overly familiar. Even back at your company, his casual attitude always bothered me a little. I see. Do you think it's because I told him about us back then? Maybe he's still upset about it. Olivia let out a deep sigh, her frustration palpable. Olivia. I took her hand in mine. If anything ever happens, promise me you'll tell someone, me, your manager, or even your colleagues. The sales team at Anderson is full of trustworthy people. They'll listen, I'm sure of it. She looked at me with uncertain eyes but nodded firmly. All right. She whispered, gripping my hand tightly in return, her expression softening with relief. I'll be fine because I have you, Luke. It's such a reassuring feeling to know someone's there for me when I'm in trouble. Her words made my face flush with warmth. Of course. I'll always protect you. Olivia blushed slightly as she gave me a gentle smile. Despite the mountain of work-related issues piling up, in that moment, being together made those worries seem to melt away, bit by bit. And then came the day of the critical meeting with Anderson. Good morning, this is Luke from Vision Partners. We've been expecting you. After exchanging a few pleasantries with the now familiar receptionist, I made my way toward the designated meeting room. That's when it happened. Please stop it. A woman's voice, one I recognized, reached my ears. Sensing a tense situation, I instinctively followed the sound. What I saw next was shocking. If the deal with Vision Partners goes through, go on one date with me. Stop it. Adam had Olivia cornered, blocking her escape, leaning against the wall in what looked like a classic pose as he tried to hit on her. Hey! What the hell are you doing? I yelled, rushing toward them. Luke! Olivia slipped past Adam and clung to my back for protection. Hey, stay out of this. She clearly doesn't want this. I shot back, locking eyes with him in a tense standoff. Look at you, acting all high and mighty because she likes you. But let's face it, I'm a much better match for her. Take a good look at yourself. You delusional idiot. Adam, today is important. Let's settle this another time. What do you say? Ha! You think you can beat me? Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm the one who'll inherit Anderson's future. You're just a guy with a stint overseas. I'll prove I'm better than you in every way, education, achievements, and everything. At that moment, Olivia's phone rang loudly, breaking the tension. Yes, hello? What do you mean? Her voice shifted, tinged with distress. What's wrong? I'm not entirely sure yet. It seemed like a complaint had come in from one of her accounts. From the snippets I caught, it was a serious issue tied directly to the client's sales performance. I need to get back now. Hey, we're not done here. This isn't the time for that. I snapped at him. When we arrived at the sales department, the scene was chaotic. Phones were ringing off the hook. Employees were scrambling between their desks and the shelves, trying to handle the situation. What's going on? Olivia asked one of her colleagues. The flustered colleague hesitated but answered. It seems we provided incorrect information to the client. Incorrect information? Seeing Olivia's puzzled expression and the pale face of Adam behind her, I knew my fears had been confirmed. Here's what had happened. Anderson's flagship division, the food business, launched a new project to develop a quality control system for exporting premium Japanese beef to the United States. Partnering with a major United States food manufacturer's facility. This project was one Olivia had passionately pursued. Engaging in extensive negotiations with the United States counterparts and repeatedly appealing to the local food safety management officials to secure the deal, demonstrating her strong commitment. However, due to her growing workload with other critical projects, Olivia entrusted the matter to Adam. Adam was tasked with preparing a quality management proposal based on FDA standards and food safety regulations required for export. However, he seemed to have difficulties dealing with international food compliance guidelines. Olivia, naturally concerned, kept an eye on the situation, occasionally stepping in to provide support. As the preparation seemed to progress without issue, she allowed herself a sense of relief, believing everything was on track. But her worst fears were realized. Based on Adam's submitted plan, the export preparations moved forward, and the first test shipment was launched. However, during inspections at the destination, significant deficiencies were discovered. The issues were catastrophic, directly tied to food safety. The findings forced an immediate halt to all shipments. As the cause was investigated, a closer and more careful review of the plan Adam had submitted revealed that it was completely nonsensical. The data failed to align with the United States food safety standards, and much of the language was vague and abstract. The United States food manufacturer, upon discovering these issues, concluded that continuing the partnership under such conditions was impossible. This prompted the United States headquarters to review the plan as well. They were appalled by its shockingly substandard quality and immediately placed a direct call to Anderson, expressing their concerns. The fallout was immense. Anderson's headquarters descended into chaos, with operations grinding to a halt as employees scrambled to address the crisis. It was as if a hornet's nest had been struck, disrupting everything. I warned him so many times that food safety standards must be flawless, Olivia said, holding her head in her hands. The furious client even threatened to cut all ties with Anderson. What should I do? Olivia muttered, her face growing visibly paler by the second. Meanwhile, the phones from related clients rang incessantly, and the office was in complete disarray. The export schedule was entirely scrapped, and relationships with partners had soured significantly. The sales department at Anderson was plunged into utter chaos, a whirlwind of confusion and panic that seemed to have no end in sight. If I'd been more careful, this never would have happened. I stepped in front of her and met her gaze firmly. Olivia, now's not the time to look back. What matters is what we do next. You've built a solid track record and strong relationships abroad. Let's use that experience to tackle this together. Luke, I have connections in the United States as well. I'll do everything I can. Let's focus on moving forward and solving this step by step. I dove into my old work records, frantically pulling up documents and scanning through past data. During my time in the United States, I developed a close relationship with Dr. Watson, who has a doctorate degree, a renowned expert in food safety management. If anyone could help us, it was him. Using every resource at my disposal, I placed an urgent call to Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson, it's Luke. I need to call in a favor for something critical. I explained the dire situation, keeping my tone calm but emphasizing the urgency. Could you mediate with the United States food manufacturer? I asked. Luke. Of course, I'll help. Actually, I met Michael, their quality control manager, at a food safety symposium last month. I'll reach out to him right away and explain the situation, Dr. Watson said. I'm sorry for dragging you into this so suddenly. Don't apologize. I owe you one. Without your help on our new project back then, we would have been stuck. You stayed up for 3 nights helping us prepare perfect FDA-compliant documents. And now we're one of the industry's top performers because of that. Dr. Watson's voice warmed with nostalgia as he continued. Your dedication and attention to detail are still talked about in the industry. The way you listened to workers on the ground and improved manufacturing line efficiency, it left a lasting impression. People couldn't believe someone so young and from overseas was so sincere. Dr. Watson. Hold tight. I'll contact Michael now and vouch for you. Also, he lowered his voice, I know about your girlfriend, Olivia from Anderson. Her work ethic is highly respected in the industry. We can't let such a promising partnership crumble over a mistake like this. Thanks to his vast network, a teleconference was quickly arranged with the furious food manufacturer. Acting as a mediator, Dr. Watson carefully explained the incident as a handover mishap rather than a systemic issue, highlighting Anderson's previous track record. You're right, Luke. Considering our long-standing trust, an immediate termination of the partnership would be rash. Michael eventually conceded. Dr. Watson even agreed to travel to the United States facility himself to ensure everything was back on track. As part of the agreement to continue the partnership, Anderson was required to replace Adam as the point person and involve United States inspectors in all future quality control processes. Thank you, Dr. Watson. I won't forget this. There's nothing to thank me for, Luke. It's an honor to work with someone as genuine as you. And, Dr. Watson grinned, just make sure to invite me to the wedding, okay? This experience reaffirmed the importance of relationships and trust in business. Meanwhile, Adam faced severe consequences for his role in the debacle. This situation involved a significant failure on Adam's part, serious enough to warrant dismissal under normal circumstances. However, the sales department also bore responsibility for entrusting such a critical task entirely to Adam, who was still relatively new to the company. As a result, the following disciplinary measures were implemented. Firstly, Adam was placed under the supervision of the HR department for 6 months. During this time, he would undergo training alongside new employees. Secondly, leveraging Anderson's group company network, Adam would rotate through various subsidiaries, experiencing different departments to understand the group's philosophy firsthand. Thirdly, the sales department manager and section chief were both demoted, and all employees in the sales department were required to submit reports. Of course, Olivia was included in the decision. Once again, you've saved us. Thank you so much. Not at all. Anderson is an important client for us. But more importantly, I gave Olivia my unchanged smile but turned my gaze to someone else. You need to take a hard look at yourself after this. He couldn't say anything. Adam responded with a sullen expression, remaining silent. Olivia broke the silence. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I personally want to establish a formal consulting agreement with Vision Partners. I nodded quietly. If Luke hadn't acted, this could have resulted in catastrophic losses for us. At the very least, I trust Vision Partners' advice and support. And I hope we can continue working together. Please consider it. Olivia bowed deeply as she spoke. Of course, I'll give it serious thought. But Adam, clearly displeased, cut in with a scornful tone. Sure, you owe him for this time, but if people find out you're contracting with your boyfriend's company, they won't be happy about it. It was a valid concern that I had considered myself. But Olivia quickly dismissed it. That's none of your business. Don't forget, this entire situation was caused by you. That's... Adam trailed off, unable to respond. I'm making this decision based solely on whether it benefits Anderson or not. If I let personal feelings interfere, business wouldn't function. You, on the other hand, only care about yourself and how good you look. Luke, in contrast, puts himself in others' shoes and genuinely works to find solutions that benefit everyone. Olivia said, turning to me with a warm smile. Go ahead and brag about him all you want. I've had enough. I'm out of here. There's no way I'm doing that training. Adam declared, storming off. You're running away again? Ha! Like it's any of your business. It absolutely is. Every time something goes wrong, you run away. And you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. No. Next time, I'll find somewhere that appreciates me. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever approached your work with the client's perspective in mind? Have you worked side by side with them to truly understand their needs? As a consultant, you carry immense responsibility for the survival of businesses. Have you acted with that level of awareness? That's. Adam bit his lip and looked down. I didn't step in to help you or Olivia. I did it because Anderson is an important client. Businesses are interconnected like links in a chain. When one fails, others are inevitably dragged down with it, leading to mutual destruction. If that cycle continues, society collapses. That's why we work to prevent that. I know that much. I've done my research and presentations, but when the client doesn't accept it, it's because they're not serious enough. No. It's because you haven't made an effort to truly understand what they're asking for. Shh. Whatever. I'm better than you. I'm different. Adam shouted, sweat pouring down his face. How do you think your parents would feel seeing you like this? What? My parents. What do they have to do with this? You're the son of Mitchell Industries, aren't you? What? How do you know that? Adam's expression changed drastically. Wait, really? I had no idea. Olivia said, surprised. It was during my time overseas. When I was just starting my assignment abroad, I struggled to keep up, not just with the language, but with the culture and business etiquette as well. One day, I encountered an elderly couple in distress on the side of the road. Are you all right? Oh, it's just a little dizziness. Noticing her pale complexion, I guided her to a nearby bench. All the while, the man held her hand tightly, as if afraid to let go. Thank you so much. Who knows what might have happened if we hadn't run into you? They said, bowing their heads repeatedly as I handed them a bottle of water I had bought from a discount store. It seemed she had suffered a mild case of anemia, and after sitting for a while, her complexion began to improve. I'm glad you're feeling better. It's easy to feel unwell in unfamiliar places. We introduced ourselves, and the man explained that he was the president of Mitchell Industries. He and his wife were on their first overseas trip together. I'm glad that it feels like our son just helped us. Not at all. I, chuckling nervously, was unsure of how to respond. The man began to share his story. You see, we have one son about your age. He works for the largest consulting firm in the country. What a coincidence, I work in consulting too. Really? Meeting someone in the same field feels like fate. His wife exclaimed, delighted. This trip was a gift from our son. He's a kind and thoughtful boy, the pride of our lives. The man said, his eyes welling up with tears. But to be honest, our company is on the verge of collapse. We really can't afford luxuries like this, but when he found out, our son said, I'll work hard, get promoted, and one day, I'll save your company. As they spoke, both began to sob quietly. Your son sounds so kind, I offered, though my words felt hollow in the face of their emotions. The world can be so unforgiving. While some companies thrive by exploiting unethical practices, many small, honest businesses that have diligently persevered are being battered by recent economic upheavals, with an increasing number forced to shut down. Through my work, I've witnessed countless heartbreaking examples like this, each one leaving a painful ache in my chest. We've decided to let the company go. But we want our son to hold his head high and take pride in his work. As parents, that's our only wish. I had no idea they felt this way. Adam muttered, tears streaming down his face without regard for who might see. As long as you keep running away from problems, nothing will change. You'll live your whole life avoiding the things that matter most. But even if I try now, I can't become the son they want me to be. Don't give up. I firmly urged Adam, who had fallen into a state of complete discouragement. No matter how old you are, People can change if they want to. The first step is facing your problems head on. I'll be here to help. So let's tackle this together. Luke, he whispered, and it seemed as though the tension he had been holding finally gave way. Tears flowed freely as he let it all out. I patted his back, staying by his side until he calmed down. A week later, the overseas matter I had taken upon myself brought unexpected good news. "You've done it, Luke!" Daniel exclaimed, walking over with a beaming smile and a thick stack of documents in his hand. "This is a formal offer from Anderson." They were highly impressed with the swift resolution of the issue and the strong connections we have in the United States. They want to establish a comprehensive consulting agreement with us for the next 5 years. 5 years? Yes. They're also requesting full support for their expansion into the United States. This includes not just crisis management but the development of a quality management system for food exports and training the local staff. So basically everything. I couldn't help but widen my eyes. This wasn't just a business arrangement. It signified a partnership akin to a shared destiny. And that's not all. This project has caught the attention of other major food manufacturers. Thanks to Dr. Watson's glowing recommendation, Vision Partners is gaining recognition as a leader with top-tier talent. Daniel's voice brimmed with pride. My independent actions had yielded results far beyond what I had anticipated. I also heard from Olivia. She mentioned that your efforts have even caused Anderson's stock price to rise. I couldn't help but smile. Who would have thought that tackling the problem right in front of me would lead to such monumental outcomes? From now on, I want you to take charge as the head of the United States Business Development Division. Daniel, your experience and connections are invaluable assets to this company. It's time to make the most of them. Feeling my chest swell with emotion, I nodded firmly. Meeting Olivia and working together had unexpectedly forged a future for both companies. It was a moment that reminded me of the profound impact of human connections. As for Adam, here's the analysis of recent sales trends. I believe we need to make some strategic adjustments. And involving Vision Partners might be a worthwhile consideration. Adam had now taken on the responsibility of managing a struggling food division, visiting clients and identifying issues to pave the way for sustainable operations. He had undergone a complete transformation and resolved to make a fresh start at Anderson. His 6-month training period had been grueling. His pride had been completely crushed, and being treated as just another rookie had been a significant shock for Adam. However, as he rotated through various group companies, his mindset began to shift. Now, his arrogant attitude had entirely disappeared. His transformation had become a frequent topic of conversation within the company. But Adam remained unfazed, outwardly maintaining a calm and nonchalant demeanor. He even has enough energy to crack jokes now, Olivia said, laughing as she recounted a recent interaction. It seemed he had said something particularly funny. Apparently, Adam had been so immersed in his work that he no longer exhibited any inappropriate behavior toward Olivia. Instead, his natural wit and humor had made him something of a morale booster within the sales department. That's good to hear. Even I could only respond with a wry smile. 6 months passed. One day, "Luke, there's something I need to tell you today," Adam said, approaching me with an uncharacteristically humble demeanor as I was packing up after a meeting. "What's up?" "I've decided to leave the company and take over my father's business." "Really? That's a big step." "Yeah." His face bore the expression of a man who had faced and overcome countless internal struggles. "Good luck, Adam," Olivia said, smiling as if to encourage him. "Well, losing me will be a huge blow to the team," he quipped in his usual tone. Without missing a beat, Olivia retorted, "It's fine, we've got a savior on our side," as she gave me a hearty slap on the back. Ouch! Adam laughed as he watched our exchange. Good work today, Olivia said as she sat down in front of me with a tray holding a cup of coffee. We had arranged to meet at a fast food restaurant near the station, carving out time for just the two of us after so long. Still, it's impressive that Adam made that decision, Olivia said, thoughtfully picking at some fries. Yeah, it's very him, I replied, bracing myself for indigestion as I took a big bite of my burger. Mitchell Industries is really struggling right now, but I'm confident he'll be okay. Yeah, me too. It's amazing how much people can change, isn't it? Not so long ago, he felt like an enemy. Now, it's like he's one of us. But for someone who worries so much about his parents' company, that's probably who Adam truly is at his core. And I have no doubt it's thanks to you that he found his way back to being himself. Really? I replied, licking the sauce off my fingers and giving her a quizzical look. Luke, you didn't just save the company. You changed someone's life. There's no doubt about it. His parents, they knew everything, apparently. Everything? Yeah. When I handed them my business card, they were even more surprised. They grabbed my hand and kept thanking me, pleading with me to look out for their son. Running a business, they knew their son's personality well. How he could get carried away and how his arrogance could creep in. Of course, they were worried. Parents are incredible, aren't they? Yeah, they really are. Do you think we could ever become parents like that? Wait, what do you mean? I nearly dropped the fry I was holding, startled by her sudden question. I was planning to tell you when we got home, she said, her eyes sparkling with a mischievous yet tender gleam that seemed to hold something precious. Everyone tends to believe that a perfect life is one where everything goes smoothly without a hitch. However, it is through failures and setbacks that we truly come to understand ourselves and learn the value of companionship. The desire to care for others or lend a helping hand arises from the realization that we're all in this together and that no one can accomplish everything on their own. This understanding is something we gain through the various experiences life throws our way. Perhaps someone like Adam wore the armor of confidence to shield himself from his own insecurities. The cost of his mistakes was steep, but in the end, he not only saved the company but also found redemption in his own life. Rebuilding his parents' company will undoubtedly be a thorny path, but I believe in the Adam of today. He'll make it.